Hello, guys and gals, and welcome. So today I have something special for you. I've been trying to put out a lot of very interesting videos over the past couple, week. And, I did the What Are Chip Gems Good For video. If you haven't seen that, that was pretty cool. Top Worst Unique Items. That one probably aired just the other day. And, I also did the Top 8, or the 8 most, things that need to be added to Diablo 2 Resurrected. Right, but this is going to be an interesting one, and it's going to revolve around identifying good items. So I've seen some other YouTubers do this before, and so it's not anything that's super new, although I may have some items that you haven't seen before. It's basically what this is we're going to go over trophy items. So most of the time, in most Discords and forums and things like that, there will be a section where people can post the items that they find that are the most godlike, amazing items that have ever existed in all space and time. Well, I have about 30 or so items, and we're going to go over them item by item, and we're going to talk about them, why they're particularly a good item. Hopefully this will give you newer players an idea of what makes an item a good item and what makes an item a bad item. So, as we go over each one of these, you'll get a better idea of what to look for, in the future. Let's go over the first item on the list, which is the Loath Veil Coronet. As you can see here, we have a level 67 Coronet, so not too high level, plus 2 Druid skills, which is always nice to see, plus 2 skills, with 20% faster cast, so a very nice combination right off the bat. Plus 2 with 20% faster cast is extremely good for, obviously, a Hurricane or Fire Druid. Very, very, very good for those particular builds. We also have a 26 bonus of strength on here, which means that you can essentially put 26 more points into another stat instead of having to put them into strength. Because most of the time what you want to do is you want to put in just enough strength so that you can put on your equipment and everything. And, basically not have like a huge, waste of strength, so to speak. And this is one of the things that is great about having a combination of effects. Because it's not just the plus 2 to skills. It's not just the 20% faster cast. And it's not just the plus to strength, because it also has all resistances. 19 even. And then on top of the all resistances 19, it even has an additional 58% cold resistance with a little bit of magic find too, as if a little sweetener to sweeten the pot. A very nice Druid Circlet all around. Next on the list is, let's see here. I don't really have them in any specific order, by the way, so we're just going to go over them one by one. This one is a jewel. It's actually a very interesting jewel. It's called the Beast Eye Jewel. It is rare, and it is only level 37, which is really low. As you can see, it has a massive 30% enhanced damage on it, which is not as good as the 40% that a blue jewel is capable of. But to top it off, it has an amazing plus 9 minimum damage, 52 attack rating, and plus 4 strength. Probably one of the sexiest rare jewels I've ever seen. Just the combination of effects on this really makes it quite an interesting jewel to put into something. I'm not exactly sure what. You know what I'd probably use this on? Either A, Blade Fury Sin. It would work really good on a Blade Fury Sin. Or B, maybe even a Vengeance Paladin. Next on the list is another Druid item. This is a Amulet, and as you can see, it's a plus 2 Amulet. It's level 89, so pretty high level there. But it does have 19% faster cast. Now, the only way that you can get 20% faster cast is to have the Caster Amulet recipe, which always spawns with 10% faster cast, and then have it roll 10% faster cast as a normal effect. And the two faster casts will combine together to equal up to 20%. So we have a very close to 20% faster cast amulet, which of course would be very, very good, again, for Hurricane Druids or Fire Druids. And then on top of that, it also has some other nice effects. It has 39 life, it has 14 mana, and of course it has the regenerate mana on it. It's missing things, though, to make it truly perfect. But the reason why this is so good is because 20% faster cast amulets are actually pretty rare. especially 20% faster cast amulets with +2 to skills. So very specifically, because this has 20% faster cast, or rather 19%, and +2 to skills, it's already in the running for one of the best amulets you're going to see. Now, if you added in something else like plus strength, plus mana, plus energy, all resistances, things like that, it would just get even sexier. Let's move on to the next one here, which is the Fiend Circlet Coronet. So this is an interesting one because it's +2 Necromancer with 20% faster run walk and 20% faster cast rate. So right now we have a very interesting option of being able to make our Necromancer move quicker, which is certainly nice. Being able to run fast is something that a lot of people underestimate, and I feel like is actually a pretty good way to make your character more efficient. But then on top of that, it has 20% faster cast, so faster run walk and faster cast with a little bit of all resistances. Now, it's not the highest amount of all resistances that you can have on a Circlet, so this is not like end game level GG stuff. Also, the fire damage is kind of a wasted stat. It could have potentially rolled like plus strength or something like that in place of the fire damage. And the all resistances could have been a little bit higher. And of course, attract charges are no good on a Necromancer because Necromancers already have attract. So we could have had something else roll there, like maybe plus energy or something like that. All in all, though, it's a very, very interesting Circlet. If I were to say this Circlet, like to make it perfect, if you really wanted it to be absolutely perfect, it would need to be teleport charges, along with more all resistances and probably strength or basically any stat in the place of the fire damage. Next on the list is a very beautiful charm. This is a fine small charm of good luck. As you can see, it's +2 maximum damage, 22 attack rating, and 7% magic find. Absolutely amazing for a magic finding melee character or ranged character who wants to get a little bit of extra damage. Now, a perfect roll on this would have been +3 max damage and a little bit higher on the attack rating. But, what are you going to do? I'm not going to turn this charm down. Are you going to turn this charm down if you're a magic finding melee range character? You're probably not. Next on the list is I think it's a ring? Is it a ring? Yes, it's a ring. So this is a 10% faster cast ring. It's only level 13. Very, very low level, which is kind of crazy. And it's tri-res. So tri-res rings are a little bit hard to come by, and the third resistance isn't as high as it should be. But we're talking about 10% faster cast with 29 cold, 11 lightning, and 21 fire. And then on top of that, it does have the magic damage reduced by 1, which can come in handy for certain characters. All in all, a very, very sexy level 13 ring. And quite honestly, a ring that you could probably even use on an end game level character. And I have a lot of rings in the list today, so we're going to be looking at a lot of rings. Don't you worry about it. I also have a Javelin here. This is a very interesting Javelin. This is a Bloodmar Matriarchal Javelin. It's a rare. As you can see, pretty decent damage, 132 to 250 throw, 113 to 204 one-handed. And then it has only a level 48 requirement, so very low level. And then it's 5% chance to cast level 1 amplify damage on striking. So we already have a very amazing amp damage Javelin here. It spawned with +4 Javelin skills, which is very high. And then we also got 40% increased attack speed, absolutely excellent, and a cruel modifier, which is 250 to 300% enhanced damage. So it rolled 279 ED, absolutely amazing. And then 9% mana stolen per hit. It is an absolutely sexy rare item. Now, the only thing that could have made this potentially just a little bit better is if it rolled ethereal and repairs quantity or replenishes quantity. That would have upped the physical damage even higher. I think the enhanced damage could have rolled like 300%. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think the plus Javelin skills could have been 1 higher. Because what happened was it rolled 2 on the Javelin, and I think it rolled 2 on the rare modifier, or it rolled 3 on the Javelin and 1 on the rare modifier, which I'm pretty sure it can roll 3 on the Javelin and then 2 on the rare modifier. So the highest potential for that, I think, is 5. I could be wrong on that. Feel free to correct me in the comments. But all in all, a very sexy javelin, especially for a person who wants to use a little bit of melee with her throwing javelins, especially with that amplified damage. Next is a Paladin Amulet. This is a really sexy Paladin Amulet with 20% faster cast. As you can see here, it didn't roll any all resistances or anything, but the thing is that 20% faster cast, like I said earlier, is extremely rare. So getting a +2 Paladin with 20% faster cast is actually something that a lot of people seek after. And then it also has some other kind of like decent-ish mass stats, like a little bit of strength, a little bit of min damage, a little bit of mana. It could have rolled better on the alternative stats, but the real meat and potatoes of this amulet is the +2 Paladin with the 20% faster cast. Next on the list, bink, is an Enchant Jared Stone. So this is a one-handed orb for the sorceress, and it rolled +3 fire skills, +3 enchant. So this is literally an enchant stick. What you would use this for is you would put this on your offhand with a +2 shield, and you would have essentially +5 to enchant. You would swap over, you would cast enchant, and then you would swap back. 6, 7, 8, 9. +3, 6. I'm terrible at simple math. And then 7, 8. So +8 to enchant on swap, which is actually really, really sexy, and it's going to give you a really high level enchant. This is something that you can find, by the way, and it's one of the reasons why you should be picking up blue orbs, because blue orbs can potentially roll these amazing stats like this, and you can end up with these really nice little off-weapon buff sticks. All right, so next on the list, let's see what we've got. I've got a whole lot of items here stored up to go over, so we'll have fun with a lot of these. This one is a very interesting Coronet. It's +2 Barbarian with mana steal, life, mana based on character level, and all resistances. This could have rolled a little bit better. It's interesting to think about in terms of certain characters. Like this might actually be halfway decent for like a Cry Barbarian who's having issues with mana. Additional mana can actually be a pretty big thing. But I kind of feel like in this particular item's scenario, it has a lot of stiff competition. Like Ariat's Face, for instance, is very stiff competition to something like this. And I would dare say that Ariat's Face is probably still better. Next on the list is it this one right here? No, that's not it. That's the same one I just had. This one. Yes, Eagle Spiral. So this is a ring that was actually given to me by Deviant Brute, who's in the kinship. And, God, it is one of the sexiest rings I think I've ever had. I have not taken it off since I put it on my character. This ring is good for many reasons. First off, we have +2 minimum damage, which is not exactly super amazing, but it's nice to have on a ring. We have 55 attack rating, and it could have rolled a lot higher, something like 100, but it rolled 55, so that's what we got. We also got 4% mana steal and 8% life steal, so it is a dual leech ring. It has +3 mana, which is very low, could have been a lot higher than +3, but then it has all resistances 11. So we have a dual leech ring with all resistances that also has attack rating, minimum damage, and an additional mana. A very, very, very sexy ring. I've been using this ring ever since he handed it to me, and I have not taken it off. I have tried. I even have quite a few rings, which I feel like could potentially be better, but I still ended up using this anyway. Let me bring this out a little bigger so I can actually see what the hell I'm doing. Yes, here we go. All right, so the next one is an amulet. This is a Paladin Amulet with 7% faster cast and +2. So not exactly the greatest in terms of faster cast. 7% is not, the maximum. But we do have a lot of other nice stats on this amulet. So it's +2 Paladin with 7% faster cast. Has a little bit of mana, 16 mana. Regenerate mana, 8%. And then on top of that, it has 19% cold resistance, 19 fire, 19 lightning. or sorry, 19 poison and 55% lightning. So a very nice all-res amulet. And then it also has half freeze duration, which doesn't really matter too much because usually your running cannot be frozen. But a very nice combination of effects. Now, this could have rolled a lot better, in my opinion. The half freeze duration could have been, say, plus strength or plus vitality or plus life or any other number of stats. The mana could have rolled a lot higher. 16 mana is pretty low. I've seen mana up to like 70 or 80 on amulets before. And of course, the faster cast could have rolled a lot higher too. Instead of 7%, it could have been like 10 or maybe even 20%, depending on the recipe. I'm pretty sure that is the caster recipe, by the way. Let's see how. Next is a Circlet. It is an Assassin Circlet. It's actually one I found the other day. This is a +2 Assassin skills Circlet with 10% faster cast, 20 to dexterity, and 20 all-res. A nice little combination of effects. I mean, right off the bat there, +2 Assassin is always nice to have. +2 any character skill level is nice to have. But then the combination of having +2 with all-res 20 is already a very nice combo, and then 20 dexterity on top of that is very nice because assassins usually need a pretty hefty amount of dexterity to use their claws. And then we also get the 10% faster cast, which if you're doing a teleporting sorcerer assassin could be an interesting choice for you. I do know that faster cast does not affect traps, though. And let's see what we got next on the list. We have another Circlet. This is an Amazon Circlet. It's +2 Amazon skill levels with 8% mana leech, 7% life leech, 19 strength, which is always nice to have on a Circlet, 81 mana, which makes this really nice probably for a character who really needs a lot of mana. I'm looking at you, Freezing Arrow, Amazon. Freezing Arrow Amazon. And then on top of that, it has 2 sockets. So you can customize this Circlet with even more jewels or gems or runes. Most common to do on an Amazon with something like this is usually 15% IAS jewels, probably in combination with something like max damage, min damage, or maybe even all resistances, depending on how the Amazon is set up. Obviously, when you combine the fact that this has dual leech, strength, mana, and +2 with 2 sockets, things get very interesting. And let's move on to the next one here. The next one is a charm. This is actually one that I use on my character. This is a very nice combination of effects. So 10 max damage is actually the highest amount of max damage you can have on a Grand Charm. And in combination, it always comes with attack rating because it's the sharp prefix. And the balance suffix is the 12% faster hit recovery. So we have here a Grand Charm that rolled the very nice 10 max damage, 73 attack rating, along with a very nice 12% faster hit recovery. And hit recovery is always nice to have, especially if you can hit those magic breakpoints that make your character not get stun locked. So a very, very sexy combination of effects there. And let's see. Next on the list, we have another ring. This is a faster cast ring. This one is 10% faster cast with 4% life leech. Not exactly a good combo unless you're a caster melee. 22 life, 27 mana. Always nice to have with faster cast. And then all resistance is 6. Now, this could be a lot higher. I believe it can roll as high as all resistance is 12 on a rare ring. But whenever you see faster cast combined with all resistances with some other decent effects, it's actually a pretty good ring to hold on to, and sure, somebody can get good use out of it. Next on the list, I believe, is a very interesting helmet. This was actually found in a game that I was in. We actually walked by it, and the Barbarian picked it up. This is one of the reasons why you should always pick up blue Barbarian helmets, because blue Barbarian helmets can roll this amazing effect, which is +3 Warcries, +3 Battle Orders, +2 Shout. So this is a +6 Battle Orders helmet with a +5 Shout on it. And what you do is you use this specifically for pre-buffing. So you would put this on when you do your massive shout combo, and then you take it off when you're done. And then you have an amazingly high level shout. Much higher level than like a regular +2 helmet would give you, because this is +6, not +2. So yeah, very, very, very sexy. I don't see very many echoing Avenger guards with +3 battle orders and +2 shout on them. So a very, very nice find. And next on the list is a Circlet. This is a Necromancer Circlet, a pretty nice one. This one is a +2 Necro Circlet, which would be good for, say, a Boon Necro or something like that. This one is +2 Necro with 20% faster cast, 27 strength, 32 life, and all resistances 17, and then on top of that, it has 2 sockets. So if you can't see the combination of effects here that makes this a really sexy item, pay attention to the fact that it has a little bit of everything. We've got the +2 skills that a Necromancer really craves. We've got the 20% faster cast, which is something that a Bone Spear Necromancer would really want. Then 27 strength is going to reduce the overall strength load and allow you to put more points into life. And then on top of that, it has more life with 32 life and all resistances. And as if icing on the cake, it has 2 sockets, which you can then put whatever you want in here. As a Bone Spear Necromancer, I would probably put things in here that would alleviate my resistance problems, so that I could use other pieces of gear to beef up my skills even further. Like, for instance, if I want to wear a Soge, Soges have no resistances on them, right? So I could put 2 Runes in this helmet, or some 15 all-res jewels with some other nice effects, and then I could wear 2 Soges instead of resistance rings, and I wouldn't have to worry about it. I could also put a Cham Rune in here, so I wouldn't have to wear any kind of Cannot Be Frozen. There are tons of different options for a 2-socket circlet like this with amazing effects. Next on the list, bink, 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 are some gloves. These are some very interesting gloves. So these are crafted gloves. These are Fiend Fist, Shark Fist gloves. This is using the Blood recipe, if you guys are unaware. This is 20% IS, 1% lifesteal, 9% crushing blow, 19 to life, cold resistance, 22 with some decent defense. Now, how could these have rolled better? They could have rolled 3% life. That is actually one of the rolls on blood gloves. They roll between 1 to 3. They could have rolled 10% on the crushing blow. They roll between 5 to 10. And, of course, the life could have been a little bit higher, and the cold resistance could have been a little bit higher, and, of course, the poison length reduced could have been like 75%, or it could have been another resistance instead. It also could have rolled strength or other modifiers, which is pretty cool. And, just in general, like these types of crafted items can be very, very handy for specific characters. Like, I would really like to use these on, like, a Paladin. 20% increased attack speed with lifesteal and crushing blow is a very nice pair of Paladin gloves, or Frenzy Barbarian gloves. Let's see. Next on the list. This is an amulet. This is another caster amulet craft. So this one is +2 Paladin with 10% faster cast, but a really nice amount of mana. 73 mana, regenerate mana 6, and then cold resistance 15. But the real clincher on this amulet, the reason why this subpar amulet is even considered a good amulet, is that massive 21% magic find. So this becomes a magic finding amulet for paladins. If you're any kind of paladin, like for instance a hammered in, this would be an excellent magic finding hammered in amulet. You will often find actually that a lot of the times subpar pieces of equipment become so much exponentially better just simply due to the addition of magic find. A lot of people will take a look at an amulet and be like, oh, well, that amulet sucks. And then at the bottom, they're like, oh, but it has magic find. And then suddenly their entire mind changes. And they're like, oh, well, that's actually pretty good. Because adding in magic find into the equation does, in fact, change things. Next, we have some Vampire Boon Gauntlets, or gloves. These are some decent little gloves. They're dual res gloves. So we have Bramble Touches. These are not crafted. These are rare. They're 20% IAS, which is always a very nice thing to have on gloves, and 10 dex, which is not bad. It's always nice to have a little bit of extra dexterity on a character that's melee. It's extra attack rating. It's extra defense. It's extra block chance. Dexterity is never something that I shy away from on like a paladin or well, honestly, just about any character, just simply because free dexterity is free dexterity. We have Replenish Life 4, which is always nice to have, and then Dual Res, so Fire and Poison Res. A very nice combination on gloves. You can also potentially find Tri-Res gloves, and the dex could be Strength instead. There's all sorts of different combinations. But remember, it's not just one effect, it's always the combination of the effects that makes the item so good. I would definitely not throw away gloves like those, because those are very sexy. We also have a very sexy amulet coming up here. This one I'm not entirely sure is legitimate, and I don't want to say that it is because there's like 1,000 burr runes behind it, which almost makes me think that it's cheated in. But this is potentially something that you could craft with the caster recipe. So earlier you saw we had a +2 paladin with 20% faster cast. Well, this is a +2 paladin, 20% faster cast with 20 strength. Now that could be a lot higher. I've actually seen the strength go as high as like 30 something, so maybe nobody cheated this in. Maybe it did actually roll. It also has 86 mana, very nice amount of mana, and then regenerate mana 10%. So very, very high rolls on the caster equipment because the regenerate mana does roll, I think, between like 7 and 10. The 20% faster cast rolls between like 5% and 20. And so forth and so on. So just a very sexy roll all around on a Paladin Caster Amulet. That amulet right there would probably be worth somebody's entire inventory, and probably a little bit more. Next on the list is a ring. This is the Raft Master Ring. The Raft Master Ring is a 5% bonus attack rating, 113 to attack rating, so very, very high attack rating ring. Quite honestly, this is going to give you a massive chunk of attack rating. We also have 7% life stolen per hit with fire resistance 7, very low on the fire resistance, and +5 to light radius. And just going off of those stats right there, it's not exactly the best ring in the world. I mean, it's a lifesteal ring with a nice amount of attack rating, and that's about it. And it's not really going to get you very much. I mean, you might pay like a pole rune for something like that. But then we tack on the 25% better chance of magic items. And this is where things get really interesting, because the 25% chance of better magic items makes this subpar ring into something that is a lot better. And if you were ever any kind of magic find melee character, this is going to be something that you would really want to put on your character, because it's going to allow you to actually have some statistics, you know, like attack rating, lifesteal, and whatnot, while maintaining a decent level of magic find. All right, so next on the list, after the Wrathmaster, these names are so funny sometimes. So here's a pretty decent Sorceress Amulet. This one is the Doom Beads. The Doom Beads is +2 fire skills, 20% faster cast, with a very poor all resistance of all resistance 3, regenerate mana 4%, and lightning 23%. And you might be asking yourself, well, why is this a decent amulet? It's the 20% faster cast. As we talked about earlier, 20% faster cast is relatively hard to come by, and this is the reason why things like this become very sought after. Because if you're looking specifically for that 20% faster cast, then this is something that is going to appeal to you. It's not a terrible 20% faster cast amulet. It's still going to give you some nice effects. I mean, it does have all resistances, even if it's not the greatest. It does have regenerate mana. It has some skills, even if it's not all skills. And if you're specifically going for that 20% faster cast, this can be something that could be useful to you. It might not trade for very high, but it does have some uses on some particular characters. Next item on the list is the Death Whirl Ring. The Death Whirl Ring is kind of sexy as all get out. This is a Magic Finder's Paradise Ring. Basically what this is it's 8% lifesteal with all resistances 11. We're not even going to talk about that maximum stamina because it's garbage. But right now we already have a Leech Ring with all resistances 11. And in my opinion, a Leech Ring with all resistance 11 is already something that you're going to want to keep. Like, even if you just found the ring and it only had 2 stats on it, and that was it. If it only had 8% lifesteal and all resistance 11, it's something that you're going to keep. However, they really sweetened the pot with the 25% magic find on it. So this makes this ring in the godlike category. Having a lifesteal with all resistances with 25% magic find is something that is going to be worth quite a bit. I'm not exactly sure how much somebody would pay for this ring, but I could foreseeably see if I was making like a magic find Amazon or a magic find Paladin or something like that, and I needed the lifesteal and all resistances, but I wanted to do magic finding, I could probably see paying a burr for this at the very least. Let's move on to the next item on the list, which is... Bink, bink, bink. I have so many items. So many really cool items in here. All right, here it is. The Viper Grasp ring. This is another ring. Another magic find ring. So this is a 120 attack rating, 4% lifesteal, 16 strength, all resistance is 9, magic find 13%. So very nice combination of effects for a character. All resistance is 9 right off the bat, along with the magic find is already a very good combo. And having the 120 attack rating, the lifesteal, and the 16 strength makes this a very versatile ring. You could even cut this ring in half. You could say, look, 16 strength and all resistance is 9 is already a really good combo. 16 strength, all resistance is 9, and 13% magic find is a very sexy combo for just about any character in the game. And then you can also say, look, 120 attack rating at 4% lifesteal, 16 strength, and all resistance is 9 is amazing for a melee character. And then having the magic find on top of that is also very sexy. So all in all, a very, very sexy ring because of the combination of the effects, and that's what's important. The next ring on the list is also very similar. This is a 120 attack rating, 6% mana stolen, 27 life, 69 mana, 30% lightning resistance ring, and then it also has the 10% better chance of magic items. These are the kind of crazy things that fall, and you look at them and you're like, it's kind of actually ridiculous. And I mean, just like the massive amount of everything that's on this ring. I mean, it has life, it has mana, it has a resistance, it's got mana steal, it's got a really nice amount of attack rating, and it has magic find. All of which combine up to just a super, super sexy ring. The magic find could be a little bit higher, could have been a little bit higher, could be 25% on this ring instead. But honestly, there's not a whole lot on this ring that could have rolled like ridiculously that much higher. Obviously, it could have rolled all resistances instead of lightning res 30, but sometimes you need a specific resistance and not all resistances. All resistances on a ring is not always the best idea, especially if you have deficits. So like if you're very poor in one particular resistance, you might be very excited to find a 30% lightning res ring if that's what you're missing. Spirit shields, by the way, are missing fire resistance. So a lot of the times if you have a ring that has a massive amount of fire resistance on it, it actually ends up being worth a lot more just simply because a lot of characters are missing that particular resistance due to the Spirit Shield. Next on the list is a pretty decent pair of crafted gloves. These are the Raven Grip Sharkskin gloves. As you can see, very nice, 20% increased attack speed, 3% life stolen, 10% crushing blow. Actually rolled perfect on all 3 of those stats. 3 is the max life steal, as long as it doesn't roll an additional 3% from one of the other effects. 10% is the maximum crushing blow, and 20% is the maximum IS. So already a very sexy roll. And then it rolled a pretty decent amount of plus enhanced defense, 17 life, which is actually pretty nice, and then a really meager poison resistance 8. Now, on face value, these are mediocre gloves, and the reason why they're mediocre gloves is because they didn't roll anything else good like plus strength. They could have rolled dual resistances. They could have rolled dexterity. They could have rolled a lot of different things, but they didn't. But what they did roll was 25% better chance of magic items, and that 25% better chance of magic items makes it freaking amazing. And this is one of the reasons why these gloves are just super duper cool. I would love to use these on, like, for instance, a Javelin. or for instance a paladin. Any kind of magic finding melee or ranged character that could really benefit from that crushing blow, the lifesteal, the increased attack speed, and utilize the 25% better chance of magic items. Now, perfect gloves for a Javelin would also include +2 Javelin skills, which is also something that could roll. So keep your eyes out for that. Let's see here. Next on the list is another ring. This is another very sick roll on a ring. It's a 114 attack rating, 14 strength, 40 life, 39 mana. All resistances 11, which is actually really nice, and then 10% a better chance of magic items. So another magic finding ring. But even without the magic find on this ring, it's actually still just a super sexy ring. The only thing it's really missing for a melee character is lifesteal. Without the lifesteal, it does kind of present kind of a poor melee choice, life or mana steal. Usually on your rings, you want either life or mana steal or both. A dual leech ring is actually preferable, but the addition of the magic find on this ring actually makes it super duper sexy for magic finding melee range characters. Next on the list is a Coronet. This is a Imphorn Coronet. This is +2 Paladin skill levels, 20% faster cast, so already a very nice combination. 8% lifesteal, which is actually pretty sweet if you're a melee Paladin, and then a pretty decent amount of life with 20 all resistances, which is actually pretty sexy. So a very nice combination of effects. The +2 Paladin, the 20% faster cast, and the 20 all res is already a very nice combo, and then the addition of the 8% lifesteal is actually pretty sweet too, in case you plan on doing any kind of meleeing, zealing, charging, or whatever, and you would just like to have a little bit of extra lifesteal. Now, granted, it could have rolled plus strength, it could have rolled plus vitality or plus energy. Like there's a lot of different things that it could have rolled that may have potentially been better than the lifesteal. But you know, each individual rare item is its own kind of sexy beast, and this is definitely a sexy beast of an item. The Imphorn. Next is the Raven Cowell Circlet. This is a Amazon Circlet. It's +2 Amazon with 8% mana stolen per hit, 5% life stolen per hit, 39 to life, 18% resist cold, resist lightning, 41% resist fire. Remember we were talking earlier about how fire resistance is a little more heavily weighted because a lot of people are using spirits. So very interesting that it has an additional fire. And then 18% poison. So a very, very sexy dual leech Circlet, you know, with +2 Amazon, with life, with resistances, and a extra fire res to help balance out the loss of the spirit shield. Very, very sexy Circlet. A nice combination of effects. The only thing that could have made that any better, honestly, is 2 sockets. That would have really clinched it as just like a super uber GG level item. Amazon Amulet. This one is actually really sick for an Amazon. It's +2 Amazon, 6% faster cast, 3 mana steal, 6 life steal, 20 mana, regenerate mana 7%, all resistances 13. Absolutely sexy to have a dual leech amulet for just about any kind of Amazon. Amazons are definitely characters that burn through some mana, and they definitely are characters that need life leech. And having a +2 Amazon Amulet with dual leech and all resistances with some faster cast is just super sexy. We got a couple more. I know we've already been going for 40 minutes, but this is just so fun. Look at all these cool little items. Here we have another Sorceress Amulet, not exactly the best. Circlet, not exactly the best, but still interesting, with +2 Sorc, 16 energy, 41 life, and 14 all res. A decent little Circlet. No faster cast, though, which is unfortunate, and does kind of bring down the value of the Circlet. And then we have this interesting item here, which is another reason why you should pick up orbs. This is a +3 cold skills, +3 blizzard orb. The only way that this could have rolled any better is if it rolled with a little bit of faster cast, which would have made it absolutely sexy. But blizzard doesn't necessarily need faster cast. And basically what this is this is a +6 blizzard wand. You're not going to be able to get +6 Blizzard from something like a Hoto. You would only get +3. So if you're trying to get the most optimal, like highest damage Blizzard known to man, this is the kind of the method that you have to go down. And finding these absolutely rare, ridiculous orbs is pretty difficult. All right, and the last item I have on the list today is the Pain Shell Tiara. This is a +2 Druid, +2 min damage, 8% mana stolen per hit. All resistance is 20, damage reduced by 2. A very sexy tiara. It is really, really nice because of that mana steal, along with the other effects. Obviously, something like Jalal's doesn't have mana steal on it. Min damage is also interesting too. So this circlet would probably be used for a bear or a shapeshifter druid of some type. You probably would not use this on a caster. I mean, you could, but Jalal's is probably going to be better for a caster. Obviously, this doesn't have any faster cast on it, so this is aimed more specifically at a melee druid. Melee druids don't really need faster cast, just simply because, number one, they can't teleport while they're in their shapeshifted form, and number two, they don't really utilize any effects that require faster cast for the most part. Some of the, like the pets have faster cast, use faster cast, but for the most part, they just don't really have a lot of spells that they can actually cast while they're in this form. And a meager amount of faster cast from other items could potentially take up all that slack. All right, so that's all I have for today as far as the trophy room. I hope I've given you guys a little bit of insight into what to look for in rare crafted items, as well as blue items. You know, specifically just kind of like showing you some of the crazy combination of effects that you could potentially roll on some of these things. One thing I did leave out was a couple rare pair of boots, which I couldn't find the pictures of, but boots also can potentially roll some pretty amazing effects. Usually it involves something along the lines of faster run walk with 2 to 3 resistances, magic find, faster hit recovery, things like that. Very good combination of effects on boots can actually make them honestly GG level pieces of equipment. Boots also have a tendency to roll so good that they can potentially be good even below level 30 for low level dueling, which is another interesting thing. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when it's a 43-minute video of me going through some really cool items. And as always, keep watching.